So, you believe this court owes you $1 billion? Is that what I'm reading on this document? This is the story of what happens when someone walks into a Georgia courtroom with a piece of paper they think is a golden ticket. He wasn't just there to fight his charges. He was there to get rich. The paper was a fee schedule, a wild financial demand, claiming the judge and everyone else in the room owed him a fortune for just doing their jobs. He thought he'd found a secret cheat code for the legal system. What he found instead was a judge ready to deliver a brutal reality check, taking apart his pseudo-legal fantasy for the whole world to see. Every now and then, the legal system runs into people who believe they exist above the law. They call themselves sovereign citizens, and they're convinced the government, the courts, and all the rules that apply to the rest of us just don't apply to them. They show up to court armed with debunked theories, nonsensical jargon, and mountains of useless paperwork instead of actual legal arguments. Our guy today, who we'll call Mr. Pierce, was a textbook case. Facing charges in Georgia, he decided to pull out one of the most audacious and infamous tactics from the sovereign citizen playbook: the fee schedule. So, what exactly is a fee schedule? Well, it's not a real legal document. It's basically a fantasy invoice. Sovereigns create these to try and intimidate public officials. They're a list of made-up fines for things they consider violations of their rights. For example, a fee schedule might demand $1 million for using the sovereign's name in all. It might try to bill a judge $10 million for making a ruling they don't like. These documents are designed to look official, often mentioning commercial codes like the UCC, but they have zero legal standing. They're rooted in the bizarre belief that every interaction with the government is a commercial contract, and that as a flesh and blood person, can bill the corporate fiction of the state for anything they don't agree to. Courts all over the country have consistently thrown these out, calling them frivolous and abstract. But Mr. Pierce was a true believer. He didn't just have any fee schedule, he had $1 billion fee schedule. He truly believed he could turn his criminal hearing into a personal payday. He also came with another classic sovereign move, refusing a lawyer, because he thought hiring one would mean he was consenting to the court's jurisdiction. In his head, he was an untouchable king in his own imaginary kingdom, and this court was about to become his first subject. The hearing kicks off, and the judge is all business. He isn't interested in sovereign theories. He's interested in court procedure. The first thing on the agenda is figuring out if Mr. Pierce has a lawyer, or if he's going to represent himself. This is a critical, non-negotiable step in any criminal case. The judge asks, "We need to move your case forward. Are you representing yourself?" This is the moment the sovereign playbook tells them to launch into a speech about jurisdiction and secret contracts. Mr. Pierce tries exactly that. He immediately interrupts, ready to take over with his rehearsed script. But the judge isn't having any of it. He puts up a hand and stops him cold. Before a defendant can represent themselves, the law requires a judge to give Faretta warnings. These are a specific set of questions to make sure the defendant truly understands the huge risks of going to court without a trained lawyer. The judge's first move is to enforce this rule, sending a clear signal that he, not the defendant, is running this courtroom. Mr. Pierce gets impatient and blurts out his main point: "An attorney automatically subjects me to the jurisdiction of this court." This is a core belief for sovereigns. They think hiring a lawyer creates a contract that gives the court power over them, a complete misunderstanding of how law works. And the judge shuts it down with surgical precision. Without raising his voice, the judge calmly delivers the first big blow to Mr. Pierce's fantasy. "No, that is not how it works," he says plainly. He then cites the actual law. Georgia Code 1721, which says the court has jurisdiction because the alleged crime happened in Georgia. It's that simple. The location of the crime, not hiring a lawyer, is what gives the court its power. Boom. In one clean sentence, the judge completely vaporizes the defendant's key argument. He doesn't debate the theory, he just states the law. Mr. Pierce tries to recover, doubling down on his script and rambling about his birth certificate being a secret government contract. The judge's response is a masterclass in dismissal. He leans back and says, "That sounds like a you problem." He immediately pivots back to the required warnings, telling Mr. Pierce that representing himself is a bad idea, and that he'll be held to the same standards as an actual lawyer. The message is crystal clear. This court is moving forward, with or without his permission. After his attempt to derail the hearing fails, Mr. Pierce decides it's time to play his trump card. He presents his billion-dollar fee schedule to the court. In his mind, this is the nuclear option that will stop the judge in his tracks. The document likely listed absurd penalties. Millions for using his name, millions more for his incarceration, and maybe the full billion for the nerve of putting him on trial. He expects a reaction, shock, fear, maybe even a negotiation. He gets none of that. The judge's reaction is maybe the most devastating one possible. He doesn't react at all. He doesn't get angry. He doesn't laugh. He doesn't even acknowledge what's on the paper. He treats the billion-dollar demand like a grocery list someone left in their pocket. It's just a worthless piece of paper. This is the ultimate shutdown. By refusing to even engage with it, the judge denies the fee schedule any shred of legitimacy. He doesn't get into an argument about whether the court owes Mr. Pierce $1 billion, because that would mean entertaining a delusion. Instead, he just ignores it and gets right back to business. "Convince me you should be allowed to represent yourself," the judge repeats. "And then, and only then, will you get discovery." Discovery is the part of the trial where the defense gets to see the prosecution's evidence. Mr. Pierce desperately wants it, but the judge has made it clear, you don't get to play the game until you follow the rules. The billion-dollar fee schedule has just been demoted to a paperweight. Watching his master plan completely fizzle, Mr. Pierce starts to come undone. His script has failed him, and now he's just flailing, throwing whatever he can at the wall to see if anything sticks. He starts rambling about a Trump notice he believes dissolved all laws, and he demands to see the judge's oath of office another. Common sovereign tactic based on the false idea that they can personally hold officials accountable during a hearing. He claims he mailed proofs that were never answered, as if the post office is some kind of legal authority. With every outburst, he digs himself into a deeper hole. And with every outburst, the judge remains a pillar of calm, procedural authority. When Mr. Pierce demands his oath, the judge simply replies, "That's not happening," in the middle of a hearing. When he rants about dissolved laws, the judge just brings him right back to the question of legal representation. This is a sovereign citizen's worst nightmare. Their entire strategy depends on tricking the judge into an argument on their own bizarre terms. They want the judge to debate conspiracy theories or whether a gold-fringed flag changes the court's authority. But this judge refuses to take the bait. He understands a core principle. Procedure is power. By sticking rigidly to the court's established rules, he makes all of Mr. Pierce's pseudo-legal noise totally irrelevant. Mr. Pierce's spectacular flameout isn't a one-off event. The fee schedule scam is a well-known and universally failed tactic. Legally, these documents are meaningless. A contract needs two sides to agree, and no judge or prosecutor has ever agreed to pay a defendant $1 million for saying their name. The FBI even identifies these schemes as fraudulent tools used in sovereign citizen scams. When these documents show up in court, judges have a few options. They can issue orders to stop a defendant from filing any more frivolous paperwork, hold them in contempt of court for obstruction, or like in this case, just ignore it to show how powerless it is. The sovereign citizen movement is filled with people who thought they could outsmart the system with fake legal documents, only to end up in even more trouble. The core belief behind these scams is often the Stroman theory, the idea that the government creates a separate corporate person, or strawman, for each of us at birth. They believe they are the flesh and blood person, separate from this legal fiction. The fee schedule is their attempt to bill the government for interacting with their It's a theory that has been shot down by every single court that has ever had to listen to it. In the end, Mr. Pierce's billion-dollar fee schedule accomplished exactly nothing. It didn't scare the judge, it didn't stop the case, and it definitely didn't make him a billionaire. All it did was waste the court's time and prove how little he understood the system he was trying to beat. The judge's masterclass in sticking to the rules ensured that the case would move forward, where the only things that matter are evidence, testimony, and actual laws. This Georgia courtroom smackdown is a powerful reminder that while the law can be complex, it's not a game you can win with cheat codes and fantasy paperwork. In a real courtroom, the only laws that matter are the real ones, and a billion-dollar fee schedule isn't worth the paper it's printed on. What was the most ridiculous argument you heard Mr. Pierce make? Let us know in the comments. And if you want to see more sovereign citizen theories get completely dismantled, make sure you like this video and subscribe for more courtroom take.